You're right.
On my saddle.
Trot on. We're going this way.
Absolutely. Let's go. Hi, welcome to Colleagues Getting Coffee. My name is Annelies James, and today I am joined by the glorious, fabulous, creative mastermind and puppetry legend, Sally.
Hey, thank you.
Sally Preisig, whole name?
Sally Preisig. That's the maiden name. Yes.
Lovely, lovely. So, tell us a little bit about what you do, Gorge.
I went to Middlesex Poly, did performance arts, which was 3 years of wearing leg warmers and dance and singing and stuff. But because I'm quite tall, I just got into doing voices and got a job with a theatre company, and then got a job with a puppet company who did Button Moon. And
I'm obsessed. Right, can I just talk about the fangirl moment? I'm obsessed with Button Moon. Obsessed. So when you said it, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, it was Playboy Puppets in London. John Thurtle and Ian Allen ran it. Lovely couple, and they were just like big brothers to me. So got a job with them to work in the workshop and puppeteer. So we went out on tour. It wasn't the telly programme by then, it was the touring version. So loads of us would pile into a van and just career around the country, performing at theatres and schools and that sort of stuff. And then we did some commercials and that sort of stuff with making brand new puppets for people for Bird's Eye and Robinson's Fruit Drinks, and stuff like that. And then the phone went one day and it was a Playdays, Felgate Productions, saying they wanted a female puppeteer to play a little doll called Peggy Patch, who was her programme on the BBC was about nature. Mm-hmm. So they wanted someone that didn't mind talking about animals and lying about in mud. And I'm a farmer's daughter, so it kind of like...
This is perfect.
So I went for an audition and I got it. And so from then on, I had 3 years working as Peggy Patch on Playdays and occasionally in shot. Not often, but occasionally in shot, which is quite funny. And then we did the same guys that did Playdays. We did Fun Song Factory for GMTV, and then the bosses. Some of the guys became Telltale Productions, which is who did the Tweenies. So I worked with them from 1994 till 2000. Mm-hmm. I've worked with the same guys.
What's your favourite thing you've worked on, would you say? Like, what was your...
Oh, Tweenies. Well, Playdays was fun because we did more location stuff and we were all over the country, so it's the best way to see your own country. And even the theatre company, we were touring to places like go to the Orkney Isles, and all the way around Scotland and that sort of stuff. So just, being able to see your own country is amazing, and be with a big gang of friends in a van herring around. I could, we'd go into a pub for lunch and people couldn't quite work out who we were, because we were just a sort of disparate band of arty-farty looking people eating lunch, but we weren't related, and we weren't, they used to go, well, what do you lot do? We go, we're a theatre company. They're having bets back in the kitchen who the hell we were. It was pretty rubbish money then. Theatre was always rubbish, but
that's amazing.
And the camaraderie, things like Tweenies, working with those guys, it was such good fun. Really hard work, but really good fun.
It's something, because I saw the video your daughter made of you, a little documentary video, and it's amazing. Shout out.
Yeah.
So good.
Sam.
And the thing that struck me, actually, because there's a bit when the Tweenies, you said you were like practicing the Tweenie heads, and like you were doing Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, yes. That was just, we were given the first heads. Those were the heads we were given. So the very first series of Tweenies, the first 100 episodes, had puppet versions of they had puppet versions which were a quarter size of the main characters, because there were humans in the costumes and the puppets went out on location. So we fitted in with the general public and human beings interacting with us, and Max and Judy were smaller for that. So yeah, it was quite complicated. But I also made all the costumes and the puppets in my old workshop. So yeah,
Super cool.
Everything from there to the ankle I made. Yeah.
But it seemed the thing that came across the biggest thing was the togetherness.
Yes.
You just mentioned it before about the camaraderie and having fun. And
yeah.
Is that a big part of what drives you? Do you think?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm especially in performing. Yes, when I'm in the workshop, I prefer to be on my own, just because the cogs don't work quite so well if I'm talking. But I've always got music on. I've always got 6 music on, or podcasts and stuff. Just listening to stuff. I have to have noise. Kind of, the faster the music, the faster you work sometimes. But yeah, I'm not so good at talking while I'm working because I'm usually sort of working stuff out because every job is different. No matter. You can sew a straight line and that's always the same. But when you've got to sew something to make something interesting or unusual, it takes a bit of brain work.
Yeah, because you've supported with the Once Upon a Gospel project, which I was so thankful.
Yeah,
honestly,
that was good fun.
Just made the puppets amazing.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that struck me the most, I absolutely hate maths, but it's so mathematical. It's so figuring it out. And even I've been in here and you've got the workshop full of lobster tails and random things and the geometry and the stuff that goes into that. Have you got a mathematical mind?
They do say maths and art go together. If you're good at maths, you're usually good at art and vice versa. But it's but I use a lot of 2πr is the only thing I ever use. If you wanted this as a costume, you have to work that out. It's not a flat costume. It's got to be 3D because you've got to get a human inside it. So you're working out the circumference all the way down. Yeah, that's really the only maths I use is 2πr. But it's I've got sheets that I've pre-printed on an Excel spreadsheet, so I can always work it out quickly. And making patterns up. But yeah, because I really specialise in 3-dimensional stuff. I don't, if somebody said, would I make something more fitted, like I have made, but I don't like making stuff that has to be completely fitted. I like making stuff like the Masked Singers. I don't work for them, obviously, but that sort of constructional costume is far more enjoyable to me. This guy behind you, that was for the National Trust hedgehogs.
It's just everything's got character, hasn't it?
Yeah, you've got to. I mean, there's nothing like if you've got an ugly puppet. Although Henson's, some of their puppets were really ugly, but it's the way they've been characterised. Yeah. And you don't need eye blinks. You don't need all the bells and whistles on stuff to make a puppet work. You think Kermit is a sock puppet. A souped up, slightly larger than life sock puppet, but no eye blinks, nothing, just straight down the camera, targeting.
Well, a lot of it, the imagination just works for it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because my friend went to Avenue Q and she said that she went to that and that the people who are puppeteering are just in normal clothes.
Yes. Yeah.
But you just stop seeing them.
Yeah.
Because you just start focusing on the puppets. I really want to go and see it.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I've seen it. And it came to Southampton. Yeah, a friend worked on it. It was one of the puppet, puppet directors on it. Yes, yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yes, very famous puppeteer. Two Nigel Plaskett and Paul Germain. Yeah, they worked on it. Yeah. So
have you always then been sort of performing and puppeting, creating, or is it now is there a bias into less performing and just more creation, or what's the bias?
Yeah, I in 2000, I was pregnant. I had to leave Tweenies because I was pregnant. People always say, why was I replaced? Because I was the voice of Bella. That's I was a 5-year-old. I can't do it this morning. But I was pregnant, and so I had to leave. And that pregnancy didn't happen. So I couldn't go back by then. So I carried on with the making stuff from my own workshop. And I'd been able to earn enough to build my own little workshop in the back of the house where we used to live. And so that sort of put pay to. I did a few auditions, but they were never quite, never got them. And also then the BBC moved all the children's department up to Manchester. So if you're going to go and work there, you've got to stay up there, and it's quite a way up the country. And And anyway, then I fell pregnant again with my son, who needed me at home. So I sort of just worked from home and did far more making then. bits and pieces. Did McDonald's Farm for GMTV, but I couldn't puppeteer on it. I just didn't have the time.
Yeah.
And once all the puppets were made, I was absolutely on my knees by then anyway. And yeah, I auditioned for a couple of other things, but not really had the heart to do it. But yeah, ever since then, and then just work took off. Did a lot with a company called the TED Group, who do the puppets and costumes for TUI. They had and some of the local parks around here, like Holborn, and Holborn I've still been working for, doing their big costumes and their puppets for them. Yes, cool. Which get refurbished every year. This was full yesterday. It's all gone. Yeah, so that's what I basically keep myself occupied. And the odd voiceover, but not a lot. No.
Well, you are Gilby, the Gill Kicker Weevil, and
yes,
staff
yes,
captain,
I am. I am.
Amazing. So, what? Obviously, you must have made thousands of creations, actually.
Yeah.
But what's your absolute favourite creation?
Well, anything I've done for there's a fantastic author called Christina Stevenson who lives down in Salisbury, and she actually used to work with Playdays with, well, not with me. We didn't overlap, but she was one of the dot characters. It was silent artists on the show. Yeah, she writes the book about Sir Charlie Stinky Socks and Molly Maybe. But I've made her a series of well, there's one particularly called the Knobbly Gobbly, who I absolutely adore, who's a puppet. And there was another one called Molly Maybe and the Dappity Doofer, great big purple monster who I absolutely adored making. Oh, and a Waggy Burns, who was a little Scotty dog who was about this big. I mean, the monster was sort of this big, but they were maquettes, so they just stand on a armature wire and look good when she's book signing and stuff. They're there. So
people come with you like with the idea. They're like, oh, it looks like this, and then you create that, or are they just like, oh, I've sort of got this idea, make it so. Like, how much of it is yours and how much of it is
nearly always theirs? I mean, Christina is such a beautiful artist, and she does all her own books. She illustrates all her own books and writes them, so you get the full 360 what it looks from behind.
Oh wow!
You know, because it's got spiky hair or horns or whatever. Usually, pretty much, I get pretty worked out. You know, somebody will come with a full idea. I can suggest different colours to them. Or just if it's impractical, you get some costumes. If you've got to get a human in and the neck is this big, you think, well, you can do it with Velcro, but then, if it's got to be a costume change of something that's on stage, you can't have Velcro ripping, or it's just impractical. So you have to say, we need to widen the neck so that at least they can pull it down over their head, so the neck has to be at least a head wide. Things like that, and if they've got to do quick changes in them or just trickery, like the Holborn costumes have a lot of tails and stuff that clips in, and because you never know what size performer is in it, so you're always having to preempt who's going to be wearing it. You can suggest, but it doesn't always happen. So you've got braces that can be pulled up and trousers that can be tightened. And
there's so much flexibility in what you're doing.
You have to,
It's crazy, because like scaling up, scaling down, make it bigger, like how to attach things, access things. Like,
what do you think? Like the Masked Singer, they're making it specifically for that performer, which is brilliant. I would love that. I mean, not too specific, because when you've got to do fitted,
not too fitted.
No, not too fitted. Well, if you've got to do a wedding dress for someone, they undoubtedly will lose weight. I've done one wedding dress for a friend, and I'll never do it again. I might for my daughter if she ever gets married, but anyway. But it's you've got your hand in your mouth, because the next time they put it on, you've lost so much weight. Stop it. But yeah, at least with costumes. The stuff I make has to last ages. I mean, the stuff that was back here is 9.5 years old. It's come back, but every year there's just a few tweaks and stuff that's sort of, stitches come undone. You can't help that, but not too much. It's not, but it's just general wear and tear. But the Masked Singer, they've got their costume has probably got to stand up for about between sort of 5 and 10 performances. and then they can probably, hire them out to other people or put them in a museum or whatever they want to do with them. But they don't have to last, they just have to look good for that instant. And
yeah, love that.
Yeah.
So, okay, what is the one question that no one ever asks you about puppetry, but that you always want to answer?
Oh gosh. They always ask what's Justin Fletcher like, Mr. Tumble, because he was the voice of Jake. What does everyone?
What do people not ask you that you're like, I always want to talk about that thing of puppetry?
There's no awards for puppet making.
Oh, right.
It's just a small accolade. No. It's just that somebody, you've kind of realised what the process is like, and that was quite a simplistic set of puppets. But there's no art department. There's no sort of.
It's a lot of work.
It's a huge amount of work, and people don't sort of realise quite how long it takes. The old hands have suffered, but there's loads of us doing. Well, there's not loads of us doing it, but it's quite specific. It's quite a specific profession.
Do you think it's a dying profession, or is it an emergent? It always just continues in different iterations.
I think it'll still. Puppets are they're really good. If you've got a puppet on your hand and you see a kid with a bogey hanging out of his nose, the puppet can go, "Oi, wipe your nose, you've got a bogey." Whereas as a human, they'd look, if you're a human, you'd be going, but a puppet can say, "Oi, you got a bogey up your nose," and they go, "Oh, sorry." I mean, they'll talk to the puppet.
Yeah.
I've been years ago when I had Peggy Patch and went to Southampton General to visit the cancer ward. And the kids, because it was their era, they knew who the puppet was. And, they would just talk. I mean, the puppet was, 12 inches with this great big 5'10" woman next to them. And they would just talk to the puppet. And it's lovely. And you do get that interaction. Yeah. And also with Playdays I used to have to sit in a little Peggy's den, it was, which was basically... sacking and patches on it, and she'd sit on a little wooden crate out the front, so it would just be my hand through this curtain of hessian, and I'd be behind talking to a kid I'd never see. So that was really sweet. And you'd usually have two kids coming, they'd do a little trail and they'd find Peggy's den. And then Peggy would chat to them, ask questions. But I'd never get to see the kids, so I'm talking through this hessian lying in there. Yeah, it is weird. And that's the other funny thing. If you're wearing a costume, I was wearing I made a costume for Barfoot to Botley, local sweet corn company. And I made a costume called Bob Cobb, and they didn't have anyone to wear him. So I said, oh yeah, okay, I'll wear him. And a bloke came up and tried to push me over. And I didn't fall over, luckily, because they were being a bit boisterous. They'd had a few beers. And then when I got undressed and everything, I saw him. And I said, "You don't know who I am, do you?" And he went, "Oh, no." I said, I was inside the Cobb costume. He went, "Oh, no, I didn't realise there was a bird inside it." I said, "Well, I think you owe me a pint." It was So it's quite funny because you can see. Yeah, it is a licence to push people over. That is the other thing. People think people in mascot costumes just, they should be pushed over. No.
Not my job description.
I'm not moving. No, yeah.
Oh my God.
But we can see who they are.
Yeah, I think it's kind of part of the course, isn't it? Get in a costume, potentially be pushed over.
Yeah.
Drama. So, okay, you must be fairly passionate about this as you've worked in this for such a long time. Is passion the main driver of your business success, would you say? Yeah, you have your ups and downs. When somebody sends me an image, and I could be sitting out here going, right, that's it, I'm not doing any more. And then someone sends an image, you think, oh, I'd really like to make that. Yeah. You don't earn terribly much doing it. You don't earn as much as you should do, perhaps. Or some of the bigger companies definitely charge more. But I like to charge sort of an honest amount. It's not big money per hour. It's probably better than stacking the shelves, but more fun.
But it is the passion of it. But you also get people, coming back and to refurbish them or to, so that I like seeing them come back to see what bits have fallen off or what, thinking, oh no, I'll never use that fabric again, or I'll never use that. Yeah, you go, oh dear. Or,
so I suppose it's always a learning process too.
It's always a learning process. Yeah, I mean, even like the Hoban costumes that came yesterday, the Velcro, the rough side of the Velcro has stuck to certain other fabrics and ruined those fabrics. So you think, oh, it's such a shame. And you can't reverse the Velcros, because you don't want to cause people skin, roughing, rough skin and stuff. It's... Yeah, but it's all, nothing is ever the same. It's not like building a brick wall. You put a brick upon a brick, and it's usually a brick wall. With fabric, you could be making six costumes, and the fifth one will decide it doesn't want to be a costume. It just, the fabric does something different, and you're going, oh, what the hell? Or my sewing machines break. That was the other day. My sewing machine decided, no, I'm not gonna work now for a minute. And I left it all night, came back in the morning, and it decided it wanted to work again.
There you go. Everything's alive.
Yes, everything, yeah. Don't talk to them, because they
Amazing. So what would you say then, from your lovely, lustrous career, TV, voiceover, puppetry, crafting, what would you say your key takeaway for business, life, success, anything? What would you say is your...
get that life-work balance correct. Yeah. Also, having children, we all do it. I started a company with a dear friend and neighbour, Sarah, in 2003. So Eddie, my son, was barely 2, and my daughter was 6, barely 6. And we started up a company. I mean, you hear people, I've got 2 kids at ankle and I'm starting a company, madness. Yeah. They were puppet kits for children, and we used to run parties just up the road here. Absolutely bonkers, trying to do that. But then I did try and, then I got a factory in China and I was importing the kits. Sarah, unfortunately, moved away from the area, and we called it a day together, but I carried on the business and trying to, run a household. And then my husband went off to university to do a top-up year. And so I was on my own, completely on my own. No family lived near us. So some days I just wanted to, you wanted a fairy godmother to come in and say, could you just sit with the kids? I'm here, but I can't concentrate. I can't, in the end I had to bring all my workshop inside the house. So I'd be working till midnight, not outside the house with the kids asleep. I didn't want to do that. Yeah. So then I'd start building stuff and realise I couldn't get it out of the doors. Because in my workshop I had double doors so I could get the costumes out, and I built something and I had to completely squash it to get it out. It was like, that one ended up with green paint down the side of it, which I had to sort of, feature as a couple of stripes down it, because just to push it through the green, surround of the door. Oh, just stupid things like that.
So how do you manage your work-life balance now then? I suppose it's easier.
It's easier. The kids don't need me. They've left. Well, one's still here, but he runs his own life. I am trying to calm down a bit, because actually, my hands are absolutely shot and my shoulders are shot at the moment. I'm definitely calming down a bit. I don't need to. Well, I worked for a Dutch company as well. I made 34 massive rabbit costumes and 32 equivalent puppets for them, called Roompot. They're out in Holland, and used to have to go out to Holland twice a year to refurbish those as well. And they were doing sort of 4 or 5 shows a day, so they were absolutely worn out in seconds. The fur was rubbing and that sort of stuff. But I've said no, I can't keep... Well, they amalgamated with another company and wanted loads more, and I thought, I'm a one-person company, I can't make hundreds.
It's kind of nice that I'm like a one-person company. Yeah, I like it. Like, you can say yes or no to your capacity. Sometimes you can resource yourself, but I kind of like the absolute autonomy. So people have said to me yesterday, they saw me and they were like, oh, I've not seen you for ages. And I was like, because I'm kind of hibernating right now. Yeah. And it's nice to flex to whatever you want to do. Yeah. But then sometimes you can get a little bit like, I'm on my own again. Yeah.
I mean, it's that kind of thing. If I did employ anyone, I'm still the end of the line. Yeah. If they do a shit job, if they stitch something really badly, I'm still the one that has to be unpicking it at midnight, because it's got to go off the next morning. The buck stops with us. So I prefer to rely on my own, infallibility. Yes, yeah. Well, you've got to be, because you can't. if people are paying you to make something, they don't want something completely rubbish. I mean, there's a few things I've made in the past and thinking, oh, if I had a bit more money or a bit longer to have made it, because it was a bit of a short. If people jam you into a corner on time, what's that one? If you want it quick.
Oh, time money, and
you can't have all three. You can't have all three. But then you try and do all three.
Yeah.
Because you don't want it leaving your side.
I'm exactly the same.
Yeah.
And it absolutely drives me into the ground. So I need to now be like, my 80% is okay.
Yeah.
Like, because my 80% is still someone's 120%.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And also, we're having to. I'm always looking for fabrics, but we both have to invoice as well. So we're doing our invoicing and our accounting. Chasing money, chasing people to paying, because I always hope on something like a costume, I always ask for half up front. But some of these big companies like Mars, I worked for, they had I think it was 90 days end of month, which is almost 120 days. And I would have finished the job. They would have had it 3 months before I got the first payment from them. And you just think, no. And they only do a check run once a month. You think, you're a big company. You've got a whole accounts department. What are they doing for 30 of the 31 days? It does drive you mad.
It's not just the creative, it's all of the stuff, isn't it? And that contributes more to burnout, doesn't it? Because you're like, I have to do the estimating, invoicing, I need to check on my insurances, like all
publication,
the stuff.
Yeah,
all the stuff.
And self-publication, putting yourself out there. But it's that, self-promotion has become harder and harder being my age. I never had it in the,
It used
in the late 90s. There was no, it was, hugely word of mouth, and I would have to take a portfolio in its case to London or wherever and sell my soul to a room of people.
Do that again.
It would,
bring that.
Yeah.
So much better.
Yeah. I never meet my clients.
No.
These days, occasionally, very, very occasionally, I would meet them, or I would make sure I go and deliver it. But even now, there's not even an opportunity to make a puppet and say, can I operate it for you, or can I at least audition? That hasn't come up for years. I used to sort of say, well, if I make this, can I, could I come and have an audition as well, just in case I might fit your bill.
You're brilliant.
Yeah, but not all the time. We're all the same. We're all all have the same needs and wants, and sleep.
Yes, sleep is very important.
Yeah.
Oh, well, darling, thank you so much for joining me. What a nice little chit-chat. A colleague's getting tea.
Yes,
today.
tea.
Cheers, darling.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
And you.